Hello everybody, welcome back to What the Theory with Joel. I'm Joel and
Alan.
And today we are joined with a lovely young lady.
Young.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Compared to the two of us.
Yeah, compared to us, the aged guys.
No, I agree. I can see you.
Please, would you introduce yourself to our lovely audience?
Hi. Sharifah Namusisi, therapist at Let's Fix It Counseling, CBT, sex therapist, attachment-based therapist, youth therapist. Yes.
How did you get into that line of work? Was it what you dreamt of as a little girl?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No, I dreamt of being on TV, surprisingly.
No.
I
mean, we are glad to make dreams come true, so you don't need to thank us.
Not as a therapist, though. I thought I would be behind the desk reading the news for you guys at like 7 p.m.
Oh.
Yeah, but that dream died.
So how did you pivot into...
Yeah, well, a few bad relationships here and there.
Hey, experience.
Yeah, experience got me here.
Okay.
Yes. And then I decided to do it professionally. I decided to go back to school in 2019 to actually do it, because before that I was doing it, because of experience. I've been there, done that. I helped a few people here and there, and then my advice helped. But then time came and it wasn't working anymore. You know how you feel like you've given all the advice that you know, and then you're like, okay, what now? So I decided to go back to school, and now I'm doing it professionally. Yes.
And you mentioned CBT, that's cognitive behavior theory, is that it?
That's interesting. How do you know this stuff?
Please, come on. I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Nice, that's nice. Yes, that's cognitive behavior therapy. It's a technique we use in talk therapy that basically means what you think can affect how you feel, and then how you feel affects how you behave. So it's a whole cycle. So everything starts right here. If you don't work on your negative thoughts, they're going to affect how you're feeling, and then it's going to affect how you behave towards everyone around you. So if you can overpower your negative thoughts, the results are going to be positive.
Okay.
Yes.
And in your practice thus far, what have you found most fulfilling about it? Like, what do you enjoy? You seem to be quite, even in your socials, there's a lot of energy.
There is. I feel like I get to debunk a few myths about how relationships should be or how people should show up. You know how society has always painted a picture that a wife is supposed to be A, B, C, D. Like it was almost written in stone.
Yeah.
And a man is supposed to do A, B, C, D. I feel like now, in my practice, I get to change that. And it is fulfilling when I get a comment and maybe a woman is telling me, oh, Sharifah, I used to take a lot of disrespect, but now I've learned to set boundaries. You know, my marriage is in a healthier, state because I followed advice A, B, C, D. And I get happy when men call. Last week, I got about 4 men coming in for therapy.
Hey.
Yes, and they would go like, oh, I saw your post on ABCD, and I feel like, I'll feel safer talking to you because it doesn't seem like, there is stigma around you, on men coming in for therapy.
Yeah.
So when I get to hear stuff like that, it's a dream come true, because even I wish I had a me, at some point in my life.
Okay.
Yes.
But we'll talk about where therapists go for their own therapy.
You don't want to know.
So we had an episode of PPJ. We were recently talking about intimacy and sex and all of that.
Okay.
And we asked a few questions to the audience. And we noticed 2 things. One, about 90% of the submissions were from ladies.
Okay.
And I found the few things that came from men were in a position of how can one of the questions was I feel like there's a lot of pressure for me to be the strong man at home. There's a lot of this expectation that I'm supposed to be a certain way at work, then I come home and be tender and all of that kind of stuff. Right. And it sounds like whining when I try and bring it up. So interesting that those 4 men came to you. Would you maybe take us a little bit into what you find most commonly men are coming to talk to you about?
It's going to sound very strange, but most men come in just to be listened to. I swear to God. If I have an hour with a client, I think I'll only speak for 10 minutes. Yes. Because they unpack so much, because it feels safe.
Yeah.
You should come to my office. For those who've been there, they'll tell you. It's homely, it's calm, it's quiet. The whole setup. It is non-judgmental. There is no bias in there. So when men come in to unpack, you will almost hear the same things that men are complaining about. There's so many things they don't talk about with their wives that they wish they could. A man will have financial stress, but cannot discuss that with the wife. Because just like you said, we expect them to provide 24%. I mean, 24/7. Like you're not supposed to. What do you mean you don't have money, right? And I'm always thinking, what do you mean? Where do you have it? So you'll hear that, hey man, I have debts, I have this debt, I have that debt, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. And I'm like, you need to tell your partner. He's like, no. So there's a lack of vulnerability in relationships, and men are struggling because we expect them to be, manly. We have a very toxic idea of how masculinity should be. We think men should never express fear, should never express sadness, should never express anxiety. They should never, just like you said, they feel like they're whining. Because again, society has made men feel like for you to be masculine, you're supposed to suppress your emotions. And that is so wrong. So it's almost, the same things. Their mental health is struggling. They have financial stresses. They're in debt. They're lonely. Men are really lonely in relationships. I don't think people know this. I know women too are, but we talk about that too much. We do. We're always talking about, oh my God, we don't get emotional provision, A, B, C, D. But men are lonely. And we don't want to care about that because we expect them to, fulfill almost everything for us. So men don't get to talk about that a lot. They don't trust us, by the way, to also be a safe space for them.
I was about to mention that because I know, like online a lot, I see, hey, come rest your head on my shoulder, tell me all these things. But there's always the joke afterwards of like, but one or two times, and then afterwards, like, we're man up, like, be serious. I've heard you a little bit. And one of the things, it starts as a joke. Like, I don't know if you've seen those ick lists of a man giving you that ick. So there's like this long list of, as a man, why are you sitting in the back seat of the car? Some of them are funny. Like, as a man, why are you blowing on your food before you eat? I'm like, and this guy, this guy's not serious. So I get where it comes from. Let me pose it to you, probably what a more traditional thinking man and woman would say, and then give me your take on it. The traditional view is that the man is supposed to be the one who provides, supposed to be the one who protects the family, all those things. And there's also talk of where the woman submits herself to the man's will, and I think together they form a loving bond. Right. So there are traditional roles for the man and for the woman. Right. And as long as we do that, everything is going to be fine. Right. What is your response to that?
That is the traditional view, like you said. Okay, now let's talk about it more realistically. This is 2024. Okay, women are earning now, and this is going to look different for each person. Every relationship is different. There are men who are comfortable doing that, providing 100%. And I've also had women who say, I will only submit if you're leading. Right? Yeah, because if you're not leading, where are you taking us, brother? What am I submitting to? And I'm always telling men, look, if you lead properly, a woman will submit naturally. But again, there are levels to submission. Some people
preach it.
Yeah, there are people who believe that submission means be my slave. The glorified slave. When I say jump high, how high is what I want you to ask. I need you to do, all the labor, the emotional labor, the physical labor. I need you to, be down on your knees, just like I saw my mother do it for my dad. It worked well for them. Like I said, this is 2024. Things do not work like that. For example, I'll give myself as an example. I'm working now. Sometimes I'll go home at 10. Sometimes I'll travel for work, So I cannot be that glorified slave now. Maybe it could have worked back in the day, but not now. Now, like I said, different relationships, different dynamics. Am I going to expect my partner to provide 101%? For example, I'm earning more than him. What do I expect from him now? If I earn more,
that thing, your money is yours and then this is ours.
That's why I said let's look at it realistically. There are relationships I have seen when people come in for premarital therapy. We have these discussions, by the way, and I'm thinking, okay, when you grew up, how were finances handled back at home? And you hear a man say, oh no, my dad took care of everything. My mom had a shop, but her money was her money. Is that how you're going to handle the relationship? And they're like, yes, her money is her money. My money is going to be our money. And that's what's working for them.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I've got people who come in and say, the guy is like, no. I just bought land. I'm going to start construction. There is no way I'm going to continue paying rent, buying food, groceries, tuition and everything when I'm constructing our home. So madam, you're working. I ask you to contribute at least 60% as I contribute the 40 and I continue with the construction.
Like build our future.
Exactly. You see, that seems a bit realistic.
Yeah.
But there will be women who will be like, oh, no way. No. If you're not building as you're taking care of the home, we are out. That's why I said, let's look at it realistically.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do something that works for them now. We are not going to follow what the tradition used to, make sense of anymore. No. Things have changed. If you have a girlfriend, if you have a wife, you sit down and look at your situation and go like, what is going to work for us? 70-30, 100-0, 50-50, what is working for us? And if you're both okay with it, go right ahead. Okay, yeah, I feel like that is the more realistic way to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I posted a video, I'll give it to Alan to put here,
Okay.
of Ben Mwine, I think, speaking about his marriage. And he was talking about a time when, I think for a few years he wasn't working. Like he had a few debts, lost his job, pivoting, and his wife was making more money than him. Okay. And he was sort of speaking about it in terms of, I've never felt less of a man, because Rachel has always felt like, I'm here with you, honey, I'm supporting you. She, I guess, kind of saw that he was dealing with certain pain and shame.
Right.
That she couldn't completely dispel, but she could speak power into. Now, I posted it on my status.
Yeah.
The responses I got were actually quite interesting. People were like, that's so annoying. That guy doesn't want to take over his responsibilities and whatnot. And I don't know, it hit me in a kind of way that I knew immediately when he was speaking that that's the thing he was talking about. That voice that exists in society enters our heads and is the one that drives us to different places. Right. So a man in a position like that who, is trying to be a good person, but circumstances have fallen before them and now they cannot meet those needs. How does a man sort of say, I need help to his partner, especially now when a lot of what I hear is everyone is looking for someone to make their life better. Like we're all trying to procure someone who's made it like a finished product and then we go with them. Yeah, it sounds like from what you're talking about, the relationship is we're going to be in
a team.
Yeah.
We're team playing.
Yeah.
I think the first question for me would always be, what kind of partner do you have? Now, after I've asked you that, I'm going to ask you, I'm always telling people that, look, in marriage, you have to be two good forgivers. In marriage, you have to be patient. And I'm always, when people tell me, when is enough enough? When are we supposed to be patient? And I'm telling people, look, you are supposed to be patient when situations like that happen. Illness, this is something your partner has no control over. Job loss, this is something your partner has no control over. Now, when we're talking about challenges in relationships, these are the challenges we are talking about. I know the Christians say for better, for worse. Isn't that the worst we're talking about? But unfortunately, people are using cheating as a challenge. Like, be patient. Your marriage is like that. No. That is a choice.
Endure.
Endure. That is a choice that somebody has decided to chosen to do.
Yeah.
So that is something you choose to either be patient about or say, no, I'm drawing a line. I'm not going there. But when we talk about challenges, that is a challenge that you are expected to stand by your person, especially if you see them trying. There's some people you will be like, oh, wow, poor man, he lost his job, and then he's at home 24/7.
Yeah, he's also just like, what can I do?
Right. Like, man, it happened. Yeah, God will provide. No, that God will provide, do not. But if you see this person is actually trying, they're putting out CVs every day, they're doing some legwork. Man, why are you not being patient with them?
Yeah.
Because that's actually to show people. I'm always telling people, for those who get married for the money alone, I'm always telling them, money is very funny. Today you have it, tomorrow you don't. So what happens when the money is not there anymore? So I feel like I don't know Ben Mwine really on a personal level, but I feel like they are in those kinds of relationships where they just work well.
They felt like friends. That's the thing
but
that came
right.
across.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was easy for him to even ask the wife for support.
Yeah.
And she gave it. Now, that cannot make sense to people. I'm serious. It cannot make sense to people whose emotional intellect is not up here.
Yeah.
Because if we are married, I will stand by you. If something happens to you that you have no control over. Like I said, we have to differentiate the challenges. Yes. Yeah. So I feel like if you are married to your friend, if you are married to someone with emotional, maturity, you can easily come home and tell her, Sharifah, look, I lost my job. I need your support. As I look for plan A, B, C, D, I promise I am going to make things work, but for now, I need you to hold the fort.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on who you're married to, because the woman who go like, nah, brother, you're joking. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be the man in a relationship. Nah, no. That's how you know you're in a marriage. When the challenges begin, now that is the marriage. When you feel like, okay, it's not all roses and butterflies. Now that other side also shows you what marriage is made of. Challenges, they are in every marriage. They just look different.
I feel like now we live in front of an audience. Like, we all have social media, and so the people watching how things are progressing. And I've always found it interesting. I don't do it personally. Maybe I'm old school. I just find that there are some parts of my life I don't want to become something that can be consumed. And when your relationship becomes something that can be consumed, when things fall apart, people are also invested. And they'll start quoting and say, you see, when you do all this for a man, something happens. So like that convo is there. And I'm just wondering, for you, what would you, maybe it's not a blanket thing, but how do you advise people who are in the spotlight? People whose brands and whatnot are built off of, lifestyle.
Well.
Because I feel like then you've now invited the public into your relationship. At the same time, you might say, it's my private life, but you've invited, like, for me, if say I was launching her as my, and then later on I show someone else, they have the right to be like, oh, why? But the other time, what happened with her? Then you give her some personal space and whatnot. So by our actions were telling you to come in, and then when people come in, they're like, no, get out. So I'm curious, for you in your profession, does that element ever come in, or social media and image doesn't show up at all?
I've actually learned a bit later on that I cannot be on social media as much as other influencers are doing it. I've also understood that I cannot be out there as much as other people are doing it if I want to be credible. Does that make sense? Kampala is very small. Now, I'll give myself as an example again. Imagine I'm a therapist. And I am preaching, hey, we must have a rapport, you must trust me, I am all about confidentiality, I'm a safe space. And then tomorrow, I am, okay, every time you're on social media, I'm all over the place. You get it? I am with the socialites today, I'm with the influencers tomorrow, I'm in the bar with everyone tomorrow, I'm at every launch, I swear to God, whether you like it or not, you will not be able to build trust with me. So, in my profession, I have learned that I need to draw certain boundaries where I'm on social media, but I will only show you what I want you to see. And that is my work. I am only on social media for work. That actually, every interview I go for, I'm like, no personal questions. I don't want to talk about my family unless I want to and I choose to. I don't want to show my children. I don't want to show my husband, because that is not why I'm on social media. I am on social media to teach, and that's just it. Because let me tell you, I think 30% of my clients are struggling with the bullying on social media.
Bullying?
Yes. They will come in, I swear to God, their mental health is messed up. They're abusing their children, they're abusing their husbands, they're abusing their moms. Like, hey, Mananga, I saw your mom's house. Yeah, you can. You act rich on social media, kumbe. Like,
yeah, that's what Alan writes to me all the time.
Your
house is fake.
And I know people think these things are, they don't get to us, but they do.
Yeah.
I personally, I struggled. Though I think first year on social media, I was about to get off. I came on social media in 2020. And after a year, I wanted to just delete all the apps. And I'm like, how do you guys manage? I can't do this. We're
not managing. we are struggling.
Right? I don't have thick skin for these things. Like, people will abuse your hijab for no reason. They will abuse your sunglasses for no reason. They will abuse me for speaking like a man. They will abuse me. Like, I would just be there and my phone is blowing up. So I thought about
Why are you
that.
laughing? Because I went,
Because most times, like on TikTok, like when you watch a video, then you go to the comments, like it's crazy.
I
It's
know.
1,000 people saying the weirdest thing. So I could say like someone abuses your hijab, they go for your voice, they go for
Yes.
they always speak.
Let me tell you, we are human beings. We feel these things.
Yeah.
Our mental health matters. So imagine, now there was a time my husband told me, please get off TikTok. There was a time a video went so viral and they came for me. They gave me like 1,000 comments. Poor man came home and said, Sharifah, please get off
for our peace, please.
And I think I remember telling him the worst has already happened. Now let me wait for what else is going to happen after this. They've already abused me. So I thought about putting my kids out there. They will have to go through that. I thought about putting my husband out there. They'll have to go through that. Micah house, it will have to suffer. I said, no, you know what? Not everything is for everyone. There's peace in privacy.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I feel. Not everyone has to know what you're up to, what you do, some things are for you, really. That's what I think.
That's why that guy doesn't want to be on camera.
I agree. Honestly, stay at the back.
She's agreeing that I will be abused. Like this.
You like say, you've not seen the jokes about light-skinned men. For those who don't know Alan, he's light-skinned. You've not seen
Oh, yeah. What do they say? Tell us. What do they say?
I don't want to be the one to bully him. Not online. No, but yeah.
Okay.
Stay where you are.
But I get that because at one point my kids were like all over my social media. Until I reached a point and I was like, okay, yeah. I cut them off, and then even I don't really update a lot,
Right.
even like at all, because I figured I have a small friend group.
Yeah.
And if I went out with the kids, I'll send my friends the pictures. I'll be like, oh, we did this, we did that, rather than telling the whole world.
Yeah.
It's like
It's inviting a comment. Like my dad talks about it like the newspaper. He says, you publish something in the newspaper. When someone comments on it, you go, why did you talk? I'm like, so why did you put it in the
Right.
newspaper? So there's this weird thing where social started with, I'm talking to people I know.
Yeah.
But now it's a worldwide, like someone could be sitting on a toilet in Kazakhstan and they're saying, why does she talk like that?
I know.
And you don't know who you're even engaging with.
True. No, I can't do it.
So I have, I'm trying to read Dr. Sylvia Tamale's work.
Okay.
And one of the things she was speaking about in this book, When Hens Begin to Crow, she's almost talking about the different journeys that women have gone through to ask themselves and sort of expand what gender means. But she then meant that even though the legal structures have changed, the social attitudes are still the ones that come through. So say if you're a woman CEO or a woman business person, you are treated a little bit differently. Like they expect, but as a woman boss, you should be a little bit more demure, mindful. I'm starting to use it a lot.
No, you're using it at the wrong time.
Of course, I'm not being very demure. My question for you is, in the path that you've chosen, you're a businesswoman, you're talking openly also about sex, about something that people usually pull to the background.
Right.
Do you feel any stereotypes have been attached to you? Do you feel any kind of resistance that comes, like you mentioned that video that took off? Probably you're saying something that socially acceptable spaces are like, no, you shouldn't speak about that. But what keeps you pushing through that? Because I'm sure you feel a bit of pushback. And what has that pushback felt like?
I want to first of all correct you. It's not a little bit of pushback.
Massive.
Yes. I didn't even know this would be an issue. Someone called me yesterday asking me, but what is your why? Why are you posting these things on TikTok? Why are you posting these things on Instagram? Why? I genuinely want to understand you. And I told him, before I started working, man, the things we used to normalize, they would just rub me the wrong way. Someone would come to you and tell you, my husband is sexually abusing me. But because you're married, you're not supposed to call that rape. He's your husband. And guess what? They would even go to family members and they're all like, oh, Ribawo. You have to, yes, that's a duty to him. He married you. He brought cows at home. Okay, so that's just one of the few. And then the others would be emotional abuse. And I know we downplay that a lot. But if you've ever been around a narcissistic person, I know how, they can exhaust you and drain you. So that has been normalized. And then physical abuse. Until you have a scar or we hear, oh my God, Sharifah died in her marriage, we will not take physical abuse seriously. Some people would even tell you, he just slapped you. It was just a slap. So now, when I started doing the work, I told myself, my why is to stop normalizing. Like, I'm not going to jump onto that train. I am going to show people that the things you have normalized for so long should never be normalized in the first place. Now, the pushback I'm getting is most of the men are telling me, oh, sigulaba chalaba fe. Yes, because before, no one was kind of singing the song, sounding the drum, like, no, that is abuse. Is it? Gaslighting is abuse. Yes, it is abuse. Set a boundary, you know. So now, because I'm overdoing it, and people in the comment section are like, yeah, Sharifah, I tried that at home and it worked. Now my husband doesn't do that to me anymore. So I'm getting that pushback. Now, as a Muslim woman, how dare you talk about sex in public? How dare you? People have called me telling me I'm humiliating the religion. Oh my God.
Is it that, please excuse my ignorance, is it that it's never supposed to be discussed? Is it only supposed to be discussed in certain spaces? I know on the Christian side, for instance, the sex is like, it's in marriage. Then when you get into marriage, the conversation is almost like it's going to be a very holy, enjoyable experience, and the Lord will guide you.
Right.
But there are certain things like, let's say if you've not had sexual experience before you get married, then you get married on that night. In my head, I'm just like, I don't think that's going to be the greatest thing in the world. And then where are you going to reclaim the information to know, no, that's normal. Right. This is how you should be able to prepare yourselves. Yeah. And even for men, like, men are not, I don't know, maybe before you got married, if some guy talked to you.
Koja. No? See?
That koja stuff. I mean, it's supposed to be, but no one, like, for me, the default seems to be that the man is the basis. And then, like, even my sister, my cousins have all been taught, oh, this is how you're supposed to take care of guests. This is how you're supposed to take care of the man. These are the things you're supposed to do for him. Right. So men almost walk into the thing like, hey, you're the one who's supposed to make things go.
The expectations are very
and I saw Dr. Kasenen even posted something which, even the way he framed it, he didn't see the problem. Like, he was saying, a lot of women are not having babies and they're going for IVF. What's making our women impotent? I was like, first, wait.
Are you serious?
Aren't there two partners in this? Like, where are you concluding? So
that is the woman.
Feels like it's always the woman's duty, and if things are not going well,
the woman is the problem.
Wrong.
Something is wrong.
I'm curious, from like your religious tradition, what is the norm, and then what is the thing that you're breaking?
Okay, so I would assume there should be spaces where we should talk about this stuff. Yeah. That should be my assumption, especially from the religious perspective of, okay, if I can't talk about it on camera, can we have spaces where you maybe take couples and teach them about this stuff, or take the ladies and teach them about the realistic stuff, by the way, not the things that the guys are teaching, and then the men as well. You know, you guys should stop learning from pornography and come down to reality. Do you have those spaces? Have you ever had? Thank you. So we do not
maybe in the chat under the porn video.
Exactly.
Because is anyone else here?
Anyone from Uganda?
Anyone from Uganda, man. You know, things are rough. I've seen this guy here. Yeah.
So that's the point exactly. We do not have those spaces, be it from the Christian version or the Muslim. We do not have those spaces, because I get both Christians and Muslims who are struggling. So this is something that I just, when I started therapy, the two most discussed things were finances and marital problems, like bedroom issues. And I kept thinking I would see a lot of cheating this, cheating that. I mean, in my private practice, not the stories I share. Most of the issue were finances and sex. So I said, okay, so where are we going to learn about this stuff? Yeah. So I took a chance. I said, you know what? Let me see. What's the worst that would happen? I'm going to put out a video about it, and I saw.
And you also?
I saw. But then after I was, done being trolled, I'm like, I'm still here. And then I would get a few who would go like, oh my goodness, that episode you put up about ABCD, it really helped me so much. I got more people, both men and women, who would come and telling you, my libido is low, I don't know what to do. Very simple things. You talked about libido last time, you talked about dryness, you talked about this. Can you help me? I'm struggling. Because they don't have anywhere to go. And these are things that should be taught during premarital therapy. Yeah. When you bring in a man and a woman, why are you not talking about sex openly? Yeah. And you said something that I relate with so much, that you're taking somebody into marriage and they're going to, understand sex on that first night. Like, that's a joke. Eh?
Yeah.
Growing up, especially the Christians, most of them have told me, Sharifah, sex is a sin.
It's the worst.
Like, I'm always asking people, what's the first lesson you were taught about sex growing up? Because like it or not, it is going to shape how you show up. The way you look at sex is going to be based on what you were taught growing up. For example, the boys who grew up watching pornography, you know how that has affected them. You know, right?
Them, we are here. No, I mean, no, seriously, like when guys are speaking, sometimes we say things that it's only now that I realize it's traumatic. Like, we'll be talking and be like, yeah, no, the maid gave me some. And then we're high-fiving each other. Hey, man, you got some. It's like, I don't think...
We should be high-fiving over that.
Yeah, but in boy culture, if this is an older woman who's sleeping with you, you feel like you've now gotten, I'm a true man now. And so your sexuality becomes, how can I dominate? And then you compare it with porn, because if anyone who started to have sex, like for me, the first forays, it's like, now we're going to do from this angle, muscle pull. Like, we're not going to manage.
I know.
It's weird because that's an intimate space, and the things you've spoken about, like money and sex. To me, they seem to be rooted in the connection that we have. Because finance is about how do we maintain our home, how do we feed ourselves, how do we... But then sex is about a place where you can be vulnerable. But I think like men, I don't want to speak too much, but men are coming in terms of, I'm going to
show you.
Yeah.
And then we have women, you want to show, they grew up looking at sex as a sin.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how to show up. They don't know what to do. And you want to show me, you're not even starting with foreplay. Because what you saw in porn didn't have anything to do with vulnerability. Exactly. So you can imagine, I've got a few people who will tell you that I cannot have sex in marriage. Why? I still consider it as a sin. It doesn't matter what you tell me. It doesn't matter if I am married. It doesn't matter that this guy actually came home. Yes, because now it starts to feel like a chore for them, and they don't like it. They hate it. But imagine if you actually had open conversations about it. And I'm always telling parents who have teenagers that do not preach sex is bad to children. Do not. When they come to you, you need to teach them like age-appropriate language and tell them sex is for mommy and daddy. You get? If you have sex at an early age, there will be consequences. So I'm not preaching that it's bad. I am preaching that if you have it with the wrong person at a wrong age, there will be consequences. What consequences? STDs, HIV, early pregnancies, ABC. Give them realistic examples. Because trust me, it is very unfair for you to, tell me from the age of 4, if you have sex, you're going to die. If you have sex, you will bleed. If you have sex,
they told us Silim. That's what they told us when I was growing up. They said, I'm going to be filled. That's all I knew.
Let me tell you, Joe. Someone told me that her mother told her, if a man touches you, you will die. You will bleed to death and die. This lady failed to actually have sex on her wedding night because she kept thinking, no. So you can imagine, you've already shaped my mindset in a way to fear sex. And then after university, you're asking me for a man. Where is your husband? What am I going to do with this man exactly?
Yeah.
You get it? Yeah. So we need to be very realistic. And what you asked me earlier, if there was places where we could genuinely have the right information on sex education, we would not feel the need to talk about it on camera. But even when we are talking about it on camera, some of us are respectful of that. We were very mindful because it's same. My children are on social media.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want my child to tap on a video and go, Mommy, really?
It's their friends who send, like, what's your mom talking about?
Right? Yeah. So you'll find that the language is appropriate.
Yeah.
I am very, very mindful of my society. I don't forget that I'm in Uganda.
Yeah, you live in a context.
So I'm also a Muslim woman. So even when you bring out my video and tell me, how could you talk? And I'm like, okay, watch it and tell me what I said that was wrong. I'm not the one who started sex, Banang. I didn't introduce sex.
It's not your idea,
Yes, it wasn't my idea, okay? And I am certain that there are teachings in Islam about how it should be done. They're there, but we are not seeking knowledge, no. Just because it worked for Sarah, I think it will work for Sharifah, which is very wrong. Even in the Christianity context, there are lessons on the topic, but we are not seeking that knowledge. No, we are going to watch porn, and I will do to you what I did to my ex, and So there is need for sex education for children, for teenagers, for adults. We cannot play around that topic.
There's my aunt was talking to me about the different conversations she now is expecting she's going to have And it's a different time because her children have smartphones as well, which means sexting.
Yeah.
And you really can't police it too much because we're having a debate and I'm saying, like, the attitude you're going to create for them is, for me, the more they told me I'm not supposed to do something, the more by the enjoyment of doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
I know. Your brain, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
You're like, I know, I need to try.
And so, like, I would imagine one of the embarrassing moments in my life was when my mom came into my room and found a condom. And she was like, and I remember up to this day that my dad said, at least he's being careful.
Oh.
And to me, that was a bit of a,
right?
We never spoke about it at all.
Yeah.
And they never gave me the sex talk. They just sort of presumed that I would learn about it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, right?
Learn, what's the issue? And you didn't know that because I went to school and they gave us all condoms. And the first thing they gave us flavored condoms. And me, the Duanze I said, the flavor is for who? Like I didn't.
You didn't get it?
Like, is it the scent or the flavor? Anyway, how do you guide people with this whole sex is now different? Like, people have relationships that are long distance,
right?
And they want to have some intimacy,
right?
Or someone maybe is stressed out and maybe can't have sexual intercourse like they used to, but then you have forms of intimacy. I just want to press down a little bit on some unique stories or avenues that you've had discussion on how you advise people. Like, let's start with the example of young teens who are, sexting each other. How does someone talk to them and say, you have to do this responsibly? Because I just think the nudes that have been released and people are always victimizing the person who is the subject of them, but I'm just thinking that was meant to be
private,
a thing that is private,
right? And
I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think it's almost like talking to border guys and say, can you drive properly? Like, even if you tell every border guy, the incentives to do it continue to exist,
right?
So how does one navigate guiding their child without scaring them
off? Yeah. Okay, for starters, you need to be realistic. I'm always telling parents, you need to do for your child what was never done for you. Because we have learned the hard way.
The experience.
You have to experience it to actually learn and go like, so if I do that, I'll get an infection. So if I do that, I'm actually going to end up on antibiotics. So if I do that, I'm actually going to... So because some people have actually gotten HIV from these experiences because they were never taught. People have not been told that even condoms are not 101% safe. We don't have this information. So I'm always advising parents to, number one, I need you to remember that you cannot parent your children the way you were parented. Back then, 1990, 1980, they used to be, even the adverts used to be very scary.
I remember, yeah.
Oh.
What was that show? What was it? Yellow? Is it yellow card? Red card? I forget what it is.
How old
she slept with one guy. I'm very old. My examples will show my age.
I know.
But I remember it was like, she slept with one guy and then, AIDS. So I was like, wait. Okay, I think it had the effect of making us fear it to a certain extent. But then there was the odd thing where on the other side it made anything salacious. Like, you watch a movie and people are kissing you, like you're pulled to it, but you don't have the guidance to get into it. So I'm figuring, are you trying to say that the issue is the attitude towards sex has to not be that it's a dirty, evil thing, but it comes with responsibilities?
Thank you very much. Like, we have painted sex to be dirty, to be shameful, to be evil. Meanwhile, we are all doing it.
I mean, music videos, Taylor.
Yes, so I feel like we need to change our view on sex education. It doesn't matter how much you scare these teenagers about sex. It does not matter. If I have one bad friend, they will talk me into having it. You're missing out. I get so many of them, they're like, oh my God, you're missing out. Oh my God, I had such a good time. But as a teenager, you're not even enjoying sex. You don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know what an orgasm is. You get. So it is very important for you to, first of all, sit the child down and start from as simple as the private parts. Do your children even know the right names for their private parts?
No, I mean, do men even know?
Do they know? Thank you.
A lot of men think that women pee from the same place that they have sex.
Thank you. So you see, it goes back to that. Teach your children their correct scientific names for their private parts. Let's start there. Because I've asked so many women, older women, in their 30s, 40s, and I'm like, do you know the difference between a vulva and a vagina? And they're like, huh? What? They're different? I thought A is A and this one is this. So I'm like, you see, this is where all the problems are coming
Alan's voice comes from the background. Let me correct you. Vulva is... Go ahead.
No. So I would like for parents, first of all, understand this. Sex is not evil. Sex is not shameful. Sex is not bad.
We're all here because someone had sex.
Thank you very much.
If your child tells you that, but if it's bad, how am I here?
Immaculate conception.
Yes, so start there. After you are done doing that, you are going to sit your child down and ask them. Because I remember my child came to me and said, Mommy, we were studying about mating at school. And me and my husband looked at each other like, are you the one doing it or I'm doing it?
Yeah,
he's
who's
like,
gonna
you're
step up?
doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hell no, you're doing it. I'm like, so tell me about it. You did? Yeah, they showed us lions and they were mating. And I'm like, good. And I'm like, so tell me, what do you know about mating, especially when it comes to humans? And he's like, nothing much really. And I'm like, would you like to know? And he's like, yes, I would like to know. But Mommy, you told me that babies, I used to tell them the story that they will cut the woman and then they remove the baby. And I'm like, yeah, but now I feel like you are at a different age for me to give you a little bit of more information to understand. Okay, then let's get into it. So you see, and I'm talking about adults. So you see, when you marry, this is where I start from. I'm not talking about, also when you're dating your girlfriend and then you get into a romantic relationship and then, no. I'm already trying to show him that when you get married and you have a partner and you're ready to have children, ABCD happens. That is where you start from. So I'm not showing him that sex is bad. And then I will give him examples of, hey, you see, at your age, you are not ready. You are not ready for the consequences that might come from sex.
Yeah.
What consequences are there? And I'm like, I can show you a few pictures. I'll show him those
are the ones that we see in the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that I do on purpose. I'm known for it. Like, I will show you a picture that will traumatize you. And you're like, and then he kept asking, Mommy, how do you get to that point? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked. So you see, if you have unprotected sex with someone, you are not sure of their status. You are not sure if you're the only one they're sleeping with. Because you see, they are not in a committed relationship with anyone. It means they can go around sleeping with people. And you see, that's already bad for you. Mommy, how can I know? Unfortunately, you cannot know until you go for a test. Which also, by the way, these days is not 100%.
Yeah, it's not 100% foolproof, yeah.
Thank you, it's not. And I'm like, even I told him about condoms. And what about the condoms? Condoms will only protect you to a certain percentage. So you need to be sure that by the time you even start using condoms, you're ready for the consequences. God forbid. If she got pregnant, if you got an STD, you should be at an age where you're ready to pay for that. And now he's thinking about it. He's like, you know what, Mommy? I think I'll wait for marriage. I'm like, okay. But we keep having these discussions. And I'm always checking in with him, to see how much does he know cleaning himself. Yeah. I'm always checking in. Boys and girls. I remember there was a time I was talking to my daughter and I openly just said, I won't say her name, but Sarah, when you're cleaning your vagina, she's like, oh, Mommy.
How can you say it?
Mommy, that's a bad word. And that's when I knew I was doing a bad job as a parent. I'm like, no, honey, it's not a bad word. I'm saying it to you because it's just the two of us. So it's a safe space for me to say it here. I would not stand up and say it in front of all your friends and 1,000 people. Yeah, but I'm saying it to you because that is the right name. Yeah, that's what we call it. Like, Mommy, is it okay for me to call it that? I'm like, yeah. She's like, no, but I want to call it wee-wee. I'm like, no, no, that's not the name for it. So we need. By the way, let me tell you something. Our children are sexually abused. I know this is something we don't really talk about.
Don't even have the language to be able to express what happened to them.
They can't. Yeah. Where did they touch you? Yeah. On my wee-wee? Where? Yeah. Which one? How? So I feel like it's very, very important to be mindful. We are not with our children 24/7. Right now, they are at school. Their fellow students are sexually abusing them. Their teachers. Yeah. There's a lot happening. So you want to be very, very careful to teach your daughter that, look, if someone touches you here without your consent, it is wrong. It is. It's just my thigh. Yeah, but this is your privacy. Yeah. So I feel like we need to openly talk about this. Language matters. Your intent matters. And you need to prepare children, but you also need to have this at the back of your head that everything you tell them might not stick. So what you do, you always have a contingency. Now, for me, I'm always telling people, you can't control what children do, but if, just like your dad said, at least he's protecting himself. If I show you that having sex at this age is wrong, you might get pregnant, you might get HIV, I'll always tell you, but a condom might protect you to a certain percentage. So in case that boy is thinking of, let me go try, he will remember that. At least I'll have a condom. At least I'll go test. At least.
Better than going willy-nilly.
So I feel like we should be open. We should be open. And if you can't have that discussion, take the child to someone to talk to them.
I think maybe people will just ask what age did you start?
3.
Oh, wow.
As early as 3 years old.
But at that level,
you come down to the child's level. For example, my last is 4, but I started when she was 3. And I learned after I started getting a lot of children, parents would bring me children who are sexually abused by people that they trust. Yeah, so I realized that since my child can talk, Mommy, I want to eat. Mommy, I want to susu. Mommy, I'm like, okay. So she has an understanding of a few things. Now is a good time.
Yeah.
So I would call them and tell them, so these are your boobies, okay? This is this is that, this is that. Now you see what I have showed you? Those are your private parts. What does that mean? It means nobody should ever touch you. Because why? Number 1, they will make you sick. Number 2, like I would make it seem like, my goodness, no one should ever touch. Like, so there was a time my daughter went swimming, and you know how a coach is pushing you. Poor man suffered.
Hey, they told me you're not supposed to do this.
You think that's what she did?
Why are you carrying me?
She screamed, "Teacher, this one is touching my bum bum."
No, that's good.
But you see, the teachers were calling me and telling me this is really good. Like it is, because now she knows no one should touch your bum bum. No one should touch. So as early as 3, teach your children that no one should touch you. A, B, C, D here. So we teach them boundaries. We teach them about consent.
Yeah.
We teach them about body safety. We teach them about emotions. How did that make you feel? When someone touched you, did that make you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Did you feel a certain way? And then we teach them about stranger danger and strange behavior. Because stranger danger makes it always seem like it's the strangers who can hurt you. Yet it's the people who are closest to us.
In the home,
exactly.
The people who are around you,
yeah. So after the stranger danger, we always teach strange behavior. Okay.
Strange behavior.
When the nanny was cleaning you, did she touch you in an appropriate way? Yes, mommy, she did. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So you teach strange behavior. If uncle tells you, hey, keep this a secret, come running. We don't keep secrets in this house. My goodness, you cannot whisper in my house. Why are you whispering? Mommy, this one is whispering. So it all starts from as early as 3. Train your children. Like I said, you cannot be with them 24/7. So the only thing you can do is give them the knowledge. Yeah,
I think it also, maybe part of the pushback you're getting, I would imagine, is it goes against the grain a little bit in the traditional simplified view, like, oh, men are supposed to be respected. I know that a lot of us have esteem for our fathers, in large part because our mothers and aunts didn't tell us. And the older I've grown, the more I sit around and I say, what did that guy do?
I know.
So like the silence of women a lot of time has been what has preserved the esteem of men. And probably that's why there's that pushback, because as a man, you're not perfect. You also make mistakes. You can also be abusive. And there's, before we leave the point of the young kids, what's the name of that young lady who's been in music videos and everyone is, I don't know her name, I've forgotten. I think she's a 16-year-old girl, and then she's been put in a music video of some sort and being as a video vixen.
I'm not very good on social media. I've had the name.
But I think the you see,
yes.
And the way it is, like, so when I look at it, the message you get is, number 1, sex sells. You see a top artist, like there's that Beyonce song Rocket. Every time I listen to Rocket, I'm just like, Jay-Z. But it's an adult, it's meant for adults, but the way it's marketed, the way it's pushed, of all ages you're going to hear it. So if I'm a young woman and I'm sort of sexually developing and I'm getting attention and I'm getting popular because I'm pretty, because I show off more of my flesh, it's very easy for that line to then be, because she's showing that, it means she wants to have sex. And to me, I think the problem is the guys. Because I think think in the Bible, isn't it always that you're the one supposed to pluck out your eye, not go and now change this person? Like, you're not a dog where you see meat and then you just, the meat is there, I have to eat, like grown men. So how does a young lady navigate a world which says we shall value, we shall celebrate you because you're pretty and you're sexy, and that's a way for you to access a lot of resources, while at the same time going that, but it's also something that's sacred, your intimacy, your person. How this is what I'm saying, it's easier to be a man sometimes, because as men you're almost seen as the person who's gathering. Like, if my nudes release, I don't and then we're like, and then move on. Like, have you seen the way she said we will
move on, honestly, because like,
my tattoos are cool. No, but my body is not something that is, it's a crass comparison, but I remember Chris Rock said the only time he felt like he was a woman amongst men was when he had a backpack of money and he was walking through a tough neighborhood, because then he suddenly felt, I have something these guys want, and if they knew. And so he was moving with this kind of around. So I don't know, do you have any comment on the fact in one side of the culture we're celebrating things that are sexy, sex sells? I go to events and the pretty girls who are coming to greet me, their clothes are a little bit like it's meant to be visually appealing, but there's supposed to be a line, and as you're young you don't really know where that line is. So
allow me to use my 18-year-old as an example.
Okay.
I'm always telling her, my goodness, when I look at her, I understand what you're saying. She's really well shaped, she has a beautiful body, she's pretty, she's all these things, and I had to make sure her self-esteem is in check. I had to make sure that she's confident enough to not feel the need to be validated because she has to show off skin. Does that make sense? So, of course, I'm telling her to wear the long dresses, I'm telling her to cover up her body and everything. And I know at her age, she would have loved to show it off a little bit. And I'm always telling her this. It doesn't matter how you look. It really doesn't. You might be all of this. But if your character is terrible, all of this won't matter. You might be all of this, but if people do not see the need to trust you, all this won't matter. And I have a lot of examples to show for it, just like you mentioned. Like, you will go on the internet and pick out just a few videos to show her and go like, look at her. She's beautiful, she has a nice body. But would you respect her? No. So I'm always giving my children options to choose. How do you want to be seen in society? What would you want people to say about you? When you leave the room, what would you want people to say? You know, she has a nice booty. Oh man, that chick is smart. You know, so I'm always trying to level with them. Like, you have a nice body and all, because I validate them. Always. Like, I'm always reassuring them, like, my goodness, Jenna, you have a very beautiful body, mashallah, you're pretty. And then I'm always like, she even now knows the statement. I'm like, but yes, mommy, I know if I have a terrible character, all this won't matter. So I'm putting her in the world where she knows that I am beautiful. I have a good
You're not denying the facts.
Exactly. Yeah, but I'm not the first. And I will not be the last. Because I'm always telling her, look around you. Your friend has a better body. You know, so that's to like keep you humble. I know I have all of this, but I don't have to flaunt it to feel like, I got it. You know, you really don't have to. The things that matter the most are going to be your character, your relationship with your Lord, because for me, I'm always emphasizing those things, and how well you do, where do you stand in the social setting? You know, that this is the thing that matters these days. It's 2024. You'll be beautiful, and everyone's like, what do you do? And you're like, like, so I'm very realistic, and I'm always thinking there should be a line for all of our children. There should be lines that they should never cross. Like, do not deny the fact that they want to show off some skin. Do not deny the fact that they want to show off, because it's the age. I'm always telling people, go back to the 18-year-old you back in the day. What were you doing? Exactly.
But there was no socials.
Right? Exactly, right?
Get to forget.
Yeah, so do not deny them that fact. That they also want to experience that. But you need to, first of all, have a solid foundation of, look, do you want to go to a club? I could take you to a club. You could, mommy? Yes, I could. Take them to a club. Let them see that they're not missing out on anything. Really. Because whether you don't do it or you do it, they will go. They will find a way to go, just like you did 20 years ago. You know? Yeah, so I'm always
Just equip them to know that, if you're getting into these spaces, know where your safety is, know how to navigate, know what people even want around you.
Have you seen parents who will be very strict on their parents? I mean, on their children, and then when they're 17, they ship them off to the UK to go study.
And then
I'm always wondering. So you were strict on this kid, like they would never even go out. But now you've shipped them to a country where they don't know anybody for studies.
Yeah.
So by the time you do that, you better be sure that the foundation is solid. And you have created a safe environment for that child to always come back to you and go like, hey, mommy, my friends are smoking crack, man. I don't know what to do with that. And then you're telling this child, look, if you give it a try, let me give you a few examples of what would happen. Show them. Like, you're not missing out on anything. Okay, what do you gain if you do it?
Why are they doing it? A lot of substances and things that we utilize are often just ways for us to either calm an anxiety. Like someone is usually self-medicating. I'm part of this group that's looking to see how we can change the language around people who are on drugs, because a lot of it is because it's a criminalized thing. You treat the person as a criminal. But often, if someone is addicted to something, they usually need help.
True.
Right?
It's a cry for help.
Yeah, it's a cry for help. But, if it's something that's shameful, it's even the more reason for people to then pull apart and separate themselves and, struggle with pain. And I bring it back to men. There's this quote I like from Bell Hooks. I had to bring Bell Hooks. So there are two quotes. One is, the wounded child inside many males is a boy who, when he first spoke his truth, was silenced by paternal sadism. The patriarchal world does not want him to claim his true feelings. A man must be strong. So I hear it a lot even from my friends. Like, it seems guys don't grow up. I think guys grow up in terms of, I'm going to do my responsibilities as a man. I'm going to go build a house. I'm going to do all this. But allow me to also be a child. So you find grown men are the ones who are buying PlayStations. We are the ones, like, we still laugh at the same silly stuff, because that's when we find that as a boy you weren't expected to always be tough. And then you have a partner who has been raised and the world is tough. I understand what both demands are. The man is saying, be my peace, and for her she's saying, I want you to be my security. Now we can reduce each other to those roles, because now I came to you to be strong and you're the one crying. I'm having to be strong up there as a working woman. Now I'm having to come here and be. So, like, there's that divide that's coming in because we are asking of each other something to give that is a burden on each other. And I suppose, to me, my interpretation has been, I have to be gracious and forgiving to my partner, because it's not an easy thing to ask someone to love you. To say, love me, to dedicate, put your resources to me, it means you're compromising a lot. Yeah.
I know.
And particularly for men, we don't have that kind of language. So how have you found men express those things when they come to speak with you? Do they even have the language of it, or is it like you babble and then you have to like go through it and say, okay, this is I think what this guy is saying?
Zero. I am literally pulling words out of them, because even when you ask, but when they speak to you that way, how does that make you feel? And they're like, I just feel so disrespected. But that's not what he wants to say. He wants to tell you, I don't feel like a man when she talks to me like that. When I don't have money, I feel useless. When I don't have money, I feel like I have failed. I'm a failure. Let me tell you something. I know we don't talk about this enough. But I think one of the saddest things I have seen in my practice is a vulnerable man. I swear it breaks me so much, because you do not want. Now, the funny thing is, once he gets out of the office, exactly.
Yeah. You know what we say? What guys say? We move.
Yeah.
Regardless. So regardless, we move.
We move.
Yeah.
But imagine a world where our sons were taught to express their emotions.
Yeah.
Because that is a healthy masculine. The wounded masculine is, no, you're a man. You're not supposed to cry. You're a man. Man up. Big boys don't cry. That's the wounded masculine.
And then those are the boys who make other people cry. To me, what I've learned is, even in myself, it's easier for certain emotions to come out as anger. So if I'm afraid, rather than showing that I'm afraid, I'll come out angry. Because anger is more socially acceptable. So I really feel like a lot of violent guys, it's behavior that you start using to mask a certain insecurity within you, that I feel weak, so I'm going to make other people submit to me. And then I'm going to take on their strength.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. I know, and you see that is what men have been trained. Honestly, just go. You talk to so many men, right?
Yeah. We try.
Go ask them how they cope.
How do you cope? You see? No, I've asked him and he has no words. He's not ready.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll use myself as an example. I think one of the things that I had to learn was a lot of men. There was this video trend of like ladies having him cry on their shoulder, and then they would record it. But I look at him being soft, and you see that guy's face like, how can you show that side of me to everyone? And I contrast that with, where do young boys now go to learn about being masculine? It's not largely their fathers. True. They might say, go to Godfrey Chase, or go for this thing, Andrew Tate. There's all this hyper masculine stuff that's like, what do you bring to the table? As soon as I hear that, I'm like, the red flag is flying. Like it's men sort of feeling like, I cannot live up to what I thought my father could do. Like, when I think of the things my dad was able to provide on his salary, he was able to have us go to school, take care of the home. He was able to be the man that society deems he's supposed to be. But we forget that it was a different time. Like, you look at the cost of living now, you look at how wages are, like no matter how great you are, you're not going to go above where the society is. Like, when we see things are not functioning and people don't have jobs, I'm like, isn't that also affecting their relationships? So for me, I think the language often, and we're speaking about this offline, is that a lot of the language in therapy seems to men to be, that's just what women say. And I'm trying to find a way of saying it in a way that we would understand, because guys may express emotions in a way that women may not understand. Like, we can be best friends and we just do like, hey man, okay, and then leave. And but when you guys talk about deep, I'm like, that was enough, because I know the one thing another man knows is how much intimacy that guy can take at any given moment. Like, you can't go from 0 to 100. You have to go a little drip,
so limiting,
and then start opening it up a bit more. Because otherwise, what I found is guys who just say yes. You know, there are a lot of guys who just say yes to get along, and that you're not connecting. He's just agreeing with you.
Yeah, to get it out of the way.
Yeah, and he will become like your child. And I think that's where there's a form of, not abuse, but a form of irresponsibility that men develop, where we can casually act down. Yeah, I mean, like, we go, I didn't know how to, this thing of remove the chicken, put it to defrost, and then we'll cook. Then, he removes it, puts it there. The woman comes home late. She knows that a sensible man would have gone, she has not arrived, let me at least cook the food. But he keeps it there, like, you told me to do this. Yeah. Like, there's a learned hopelessness that men then develop, so that, weaponized incompetence, so that I don't have to be the one to do the emotional labor, and so you're the one doing all the emotional labor. Right. And it shows up with men going, no, women are more emotional. I am rational. So I feel like we start to ghettoize logic that way, as if logic is something that is exclusive for men.
We have logic too, but everyone has emotions. Like it or not, everyone has emotions.
Yeah.
You see, when you're drinking to numb the pain, what emotion are you trying to suppress? You match your man who has no feelings, who doesn't feel stuff. What emotion are you trying to numb?
We're trying to kill it with alcohol.
Without feeling it.
Yeah.
So you see, that's to show you that everyone is struggling.
Yeah.
And whenever I get a chance to speak to parents, I'm telling them, listen, imagine a world where a man could also be vulnerable, come back home and tell the wife, babe, today was hard.
Do you think women are ready for that?
Well, I am. I don't know about them, but I want me a vulnerable man. I want me a man who considers me safe. I want me a man who won't be all, I'm a man. No, you're human. Yes, you're a man, I respect that. Yeah. But can we be realistic here? You had a bad day, you don't have money, you're broke. Okay? So you're going through it. Who are you going to talk to about that? You're a man, I get that, but you just lost your dad. Yeah. So you must be going through that. Yeah. You need to grieve. Yeah, you're a man, I get that. But you're struggling with ABCD. Can we just talk about it?
Yeah.
How can I help you? How can I support you as your wife? I need to be there for you. We are a team. Like I feel like imagine a world where we could have that.
Yeah.
Where
We're a
men-
team. It's not men versus women. Because a lot of the
No.
lingo is, oh, you men, we men.
Yeah,
And
that
we're like,
power struggle
where-
needs to stop, man.
Yeah.
It really needs to stop. I keep telling men and women that if you can, and maybe it doesn't mean anything to them, if you can come butt naked, I feel like that's the most naked you will ever be.
Yeah, when you're naked, you can't pocket. For me, that's you can't be cool. Yeah, yeah,
So I look on his face.
you can't be like you're there,
Right?
Yeah.
But imagine, men won't have a problem being that naked, but they would rather die
Then be
than be emotionally naked.
Yeah.
Then come and be vulnerable with you. They're like, nah, I can't let you see me like that. Brother, I saw you naked. Like, but you can't let me see, because for them they feel like that's the weakest of the weakest. Like, I can't let a woman see me down like that. But what, honestly, what's the worst that would happen?
I think also if you can't do that to your partner, maybe it's also a sign.
Red flag. Why can't you?
That's maybe not a woman you really trust to give it really. If you can go tell your friends,
Yeah.
maybe that's a sign that that's somebody else's issue.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to be honest.
Yeah.
That's true.
That stuff. Or even, I think also like in faith, like at work, like man, things you about those that you about you.
We talk about that.
It's me who slaps.
Where I flap. Whoa.
I once made a joke. I met my husband's boss, and I was telling him, I know everyone at your office. So I started naming names. I'm like, yeah, HR is A, accountant is B, this one. He's like, how do you know my entire stuff? And I'm like, I talked to my husband. Like, it will be 2 p.m. and he's having lunch and he's calling me, can you believe ABCD is stressing me out with this? And I'm like, so what are you going to do? Do not go crazy now. Do not, because he's human.
Yeah.
And I would never be in a relationship with a person that does not feel safe with me, just like you said. So if I told you men are very lonely, women always say that, oh my God, I'm alone in the relationship, but we only focus on the emotional provision. I swear to God, men are lonely in every aspect of the word lonely. The intimacy in every way, it's lonely. We've also put it in our heads that all men need is the physical intimacy.
Yeah.
And once we are done giving that to you, we expect you to provide, protect, maintain.
It
Period.
becomes transactional.
I know it's very unfair. It's very unfair. And I'm always telling ladies who come in for therapy, I'm like, you know what? For a change, call your husband and ask him, hey babe, how's your day? I'm sure he's going to go like, what do you want?
What's broken?
Yeah, what up?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, but let's normalize asking each other. Genuinely, not to ask to just get it out of the way, but go like, hey Joel, how was your day? No, it was good. No. Really. How was work? You really want to know? Yeah. What's up with that chick you told me used to stress you back? Man, chick has become a problem. And then when you start talking, I hope the chicks don't go like, man, that guy can beat. I think I'm
Yeah, because you can also, you will open the floodgates you said you wanted.
Well, for me, I want to hear it all. Okay. Like, I just love me a vulnerable man. I feel like emotional suppression is the worst thing that's happening to men. And I'm not doing that to my boys.
To some, it's hard because, like, you know how women complain that, like, oh, when you guys fall sick, you become children. But this is how you want it.
Become soft, not like that.
Not so soft.
Yeah.
That's what it's like, because I mean.
So then, why do we have to limit them?
I think we
carry
so much. We carry so much from our past.
Society,
and we then bring it into our homes, and then it's like you can be happy as boyfriend, girlfriend, then suddenly you get married. Like, as my wife, you must. I'm like, suddenly now there's this new institution that you've created where they're saying this is now your role.
Oh my God, Joel! I was talking to someone about this recently, and I was telling them, have you ever wondered why people can date for 8 years happily, and the minute they get married, 6 months in, they're done? It's because of that. I hate it when people do that. As my husband, I expect you. What do you mean you expect me? We've dated for 8 years. It was working. We just got a paper signed and rings on our fingers, and we call the people to see us. Like, what is changing?
Yeah.
Because by the time I marry you, I've already made up my mind that it is you. Meaning I want you. The 8-year-old relationship I've had with you, I want more of that.
Yeah.
Why are you now bringing that couple of struggle? I expect you to make me breakfast.
It's like being friends with the head boy in school.
Right? And the minute they can switch up on you.
Food, and like, for some reason now, you this and that.
Why did you clean your room? We were in the room together. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
No, you need to talk about that a lot. Seriously. Why do things suddenly change after people get married? And I'm always telling people things don't change. It's almost as if someone was waiting to have that power over you. Like, but they couldn't because it's not official yet. Did you see my parents? So they're like, So for me to assert that kind of power.
I'll go through all these things to get that power.
Man, some people can be toxic. No, we need to talk about that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up.
Okay.
But I wanted you to talk about your counseling service, where people can find it. We're going to put down here on the socials, but like, speak to the audience and tell them who should come to you. And I'm thinking maybe people only come to you when they're in trouble. Or when things have already, but you know, you can go and say, just like I go and get my physicals, I can go and talk to someone to say, hey, I just need some way of engaging here, or things are going okay, but I don't want to mess up anywhere. Yeah, just tell the thousands of what the theorists.
Well, who should come to me as long as you're a human being? You should seek therapy. You should seek therapy, and it doesn't even have to be me. Anyone you feel safe with, please seek therapy. You can only understand how effective therapy is after you've gone for the first session. And this person just blows your mind and you're like, ooh, I didn't know I could look at things from that kind of perspective. I didn't know I could rewire my brain to see things differently.
Yeah.
So as long as you're human, my office is a safe space. Husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, children. That's a new service I started offering as of this year. I'm offering the school counseling program, and employee assistance programs. So I'm going to different offices because I feel like your employees' mental health matters. You cannot be productive at work if you are struggling. Yes, outside work. So I introduced an employee assistance program, and I'm writing to a few offices here and there. So you could, refer me. And CBT, we talked about it, cognitive behavior therapy. I will help you change the way you look at things. I'll help you change the way you see things. I'll help you change your perspective on things that are limiting, the limiting beliefs that we walk around with, just like what we were discussing. A man is not supposed to cry. What do you mean? Cry. You're human. And by the way, just a little bit of that. I don't know if there are parents on here watching. You know, when you have a son and you're nurturing them, you're breastfeeding them, you treat them the same way you treat a girl.
Yeah, there's no difference. Always a boy child. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. You will cuddle them, you will kiss them. Why does that change once they become 6 years old? Now all of a sudden they're not human beings anymore. Now they're supposed to be men at 6 years old. When they're still finding themselves, they're making mistakes, they get anxious, they're being bullied at school, but they cannot come and talk to you because you have created an environment of no. You're a man. Yeah. So do not come to me. So the problem it starts with us parents. So yes, I offer attachment theory. Hopefully next time you'll
there's an episode on attachment theory, guys.
It's an interesting.
Put the link somewhere up here.
Yeah.
I'm giving Alan work.
Yes, I also do attachment therapy best, and sex therapy. That's something I don't like to speak out loud because some men misunderstand it. They'll call you and go like, "So do you offer this service?" I'm like, that's not what I meant. By the way, sex therapy is talk therapy. I do not touch you anywhere. I always need to make that very clear.
Trust my guys. Of course, I have sex.
All I hear is I offer sex.
I got the point.
There is selective hearing there. But that's not something I flaunt where I go. I just say I do marriage counseling, and whoever gets it, because there cannot be marriage counseling if you're not talking about bedroom issues. So yes. Okay. Yeah, that's what I do, an individual therapy. I don't only talk to couples, I talk to individuals as well. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much for making the time.
You're welcome.
Coming onto the platform.
Let's Fix It Counseling, that's the name of the practice.
There we go.
Yes.
Guys, the only thing I'll leave you with, I told you I'm going to quote bell hooks. So for me, this is the thing that has stayed with me from the will to change. Men cannot change if there are no blueprints for change. We cannot love if we are not taught the art of loving. And for me, the idea of the art of loving is it's something you learn. We all think we naturally can do it. There's nothing wrong in seeking some help. Because, the most beautiful words in the English language are, I need some help, because that's where love comes from. So
I know.
Thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Alan, any last words? Do you love me?
You guys have a very weird relationship.
Just cut it off here.